What is up, guys? Last video before the card kicks off for the day at Vegas, because I actually looked at the fact that Daniel Rodriguez was fighting this weekend, and ever since his last fight with Calvin Gastelum, we all know Calvin didn't really try to make weight. D-Rod did, and they had to make it at I think middleweight or catchweight or something like that, and go forward with the fight. You could tell D-Rod was a little depleted from the weight cut, as where Calvin Gastelum was basically guns-ho, full speed ahead. Daniel Rodriguez still had really shining moments in that fight, and Calvin Gastelum got the win. But the fans kind of turned on Gastelum after seeing the lack of real discipline or even trying. And I think with Calvin Gastelum, he could just stay at 185 and not try too hard to make lower weights. I know that sometimes you see guys at the end of their career thinking that if they move down a weight class and, become kind of a guy who's got a little bit more size, even though he is a natural welterweight who was fighting at middleweight. So, I don't think that's there. I think I see a guy at the end of his career who was a natural 170er, who moved up to 185, had a lot of success, thought he could move down, but as you get older, that weight cut gets harder, and maybe he should just do open weight class fights for the fans. I would be more comfortable with that. But with Daniel Rodriguez, I think that this is a good fight for him against Alex Morono, because on a skill basis and on paper, once you look at Alex Morono and where he's at currently, Daniel Rodriguez needs to slip on a banana peel in order to lose this fight. I think he's way going to outclass Alex Morono, because I've seen what Alex Morono did against Nico Price in their last fight. And those were two guys that were kind of cashed out a little bit. They're past their prime a little bit too. So D-Rod definitely taking on a guy who's now basically been reduced to just a journeyman fighter. No offense, Alex. But I definitely think that there's no reason why D-Rod can't win this. And that's good, because I want to see D-Rod get a rematch with Calvin Gastelum. That first fight left way too bad of a taste in people's mouths that they're going to need to run it back. It's going to benefit both D-Rod and Calvin, because with D-Rod, I think that he was the one who showed more discipline, and still I think that was a winnable fight for him. So yeah, he deserves a bounce back, an easy fight that he could take on and win, get a good finish in, and then he can move back up to 185 with Calvin Gastelum, with say, hey, if you don't want to cut weight, we don't have to, but we can face each other under the same circumstances. Calvin Gastelum, even though I think I just said he should be probably at 185, because he shouldn't want to have to make that weight cut, just do it at 185, and then that way, if you lose the fight, I think you're still going to get respect in the fans' eyes, even if you win the fight too, because the win, it comes with a little bit of redemption, just because I saw what a lot of the MMA journalists were saying, and a lot of them just kind of seemed very displeased with Calvin Gastelum, and I don't like to see Calvin Gastelum looked at in that light, just because I remember when he was facing Israel Adesanya for the middleweight interim title, he was pretty up there. He was knocking Michael Bisping out. He ended Michael Bisping's career, literally. The guy's a stud, and he definitely was one of the top dudes at middleweight for a long time, and to see someone kind of looked at in that bad a light and go out in the sport looking like that, where you don't want to make weight or anything like that, it doesn't look good, and it's not a good way to close out the career. So I'd like to see a little bit of a redemption arc for Calvin Gastelum, which, win or lose in the rematch, he's going to get some redemption. I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. At least in my eyes, I could forgive. Just like Sterling versus Yan too. I know a lot of people still love to hate Sterling after that, but I was like, you know what? You got in there, and you got your hand raised. You retained the title. It is what it is, Thank you for doing the rematch. But same thing with Calvin Gastelum against Daniel Rodriguez. We got to even the playing field and then run that one back. And what better opener for that is like D-Rod versus Alex? Because like I said, D-Rod should win this fight, set up for the next chapter. They squash the beef happily ever after, at least for UFC standards in a sport where we see people brutalize each other. But other than that, I'm going to be in D-Rod's corner, both on paper and as kind of a vicarious emotional support, because I know he doesn't really know who I am, and he doesn't care about if I am in his corner or not. But just to throw that out there, I really want to see D-Rod succeed tonight because he needs that rematch. But yeah, that's what I got to say. Let's go fight night.